I've heard some people on the forum referring to these bikes as muck magnets. It's a bit harsh, but this rear mudguard is pretty useless and it gets very dirty. So I understand, I found Pyramid motorcycle parts make mudguard, especially a rear hugger, especially for the Mandello. So here it is. Let's open it up and see what's inside. So inside the packaging, there's the actual rear hugger, which is obviously going to go here somewhere, covered in protective plastic. There's a bracket to hold it, and there's a whole lot of nuts, bolts, grommets, washers, etc. in the packet here. There's also, usefully, some instructions. So if all else fails, let's read the instructions. So here's the rear hugger unwrapped. That's the larger bracket. There's a smaller bracket here, and I've emptied all the content of the bag into this little magnetic tray. So to start with, we put these rubber grommets into all 5 of the large holes. A little squirt of silicone grease on there, just a tiny bit. I'm doing this by hand, which is hard work, but the alternative would be to use a small screwdriver or something, but I don't want to damage the grommet. So I'm pushing it by hand rather than with a tool. But that's nicely in. So that's all the grommets fitted. So the instructions on the Pyramid hugger start by saying fit bracket A, and they're nylock nuts, so when we tighten them we'll need a spanner, but for this I'm just doing it finger tight. Black M6 bolt and a washer, and then the nylock nut. So that's bracket A fitted, ready to bolt onto the swinging arm. So the instructions say to fit this bracket to the hugger. Later on they talk about removing the original one and provisionally fitting this one, but it looks to me like it's going to be very fiddly to fit this once the hugger's in place, so I'm going to actually fit this bracket now. So we need to get this sleeve, M6 sleeve, in there. So that's the sleeve in. Now we need to put the bolt and the bracket and a washer and a nylock nut, again finger tight. So we're obviously going to come back later once it's all fitted and tighten everything up. There's a plastic washer that is going to sit under there, and a bolt that's going to go through that. That's going to be fiddly once that's on the bike, but let's see how it goes. So here's the hugger ready, and I've got this bracket on but loose. The screw that goes through this bracket and into the swinging arm, and the screw that goes through that, they're M5, so we need the slightly smaller diameter, smaller ID sleeves. So that's a slightly smaller sleeve. Got to fit that in so that we can get the M5 bolts in. So we've now got the sleeve in, the M5 sleeve in these 2 grommets. This hole and this hole here, they're going to be for the clips that hold the brake hoses. So they don't have a grommet. Now we need to get in on the right hand side of the bike to get the original one off. I've put some extra lighting on, but it's not terribly easy to see in there in the light that I've got in the garage, so I'm wearing a head torch, which is going to give me a slightly better view, I hope. Original mini hugger is bolted on with these little screws that are Torx screws. They're T25. So I've got a T25 bit here on a small ratchet, so I can get it in there. Slightly awkward. The instructions on the pyramid hugger are to use thread lock for these screws, and I get the impression that these have been put in with a thread lock. It's coming, but it's not turning freely, so I think it's been locked. Interesting, one had a washer, one didn't. And there's one third screw on the left hand side. So now I've managed to unclip the cables on both sides. There's a clip on the left side and a clip on the right side. And here's the old hugger with a bit of dirt on it. So that's the old one removed. Let's see if we can fit the new one. Now that I've removed the original mini hugger and cleaned the worst of the muck that accumulated off it, I'm going to fit this. Because I've fitted bracket B already, I've got to watch as I get that it doesn't keep getting caught. As I slide this in. And a little bit of a fiddle. That's basically in place. Need to get these cables out of the way, that's the only thing. So make sure these cables are out of the way before you get the hugger in. That's sitting nicely now. Well, nicely is perhaps a relative term. So I've got a little bit of thread lock here. Put that on the short M5 bolt, which was Torx for the original, but this is a 3mm hex drive. So that's started, but I'm leaving it loose. Now we need to get this one in here, and I may not. No, I think I can just about get access with that. So I put a little bit of thread lock on this screw here, has this little rubber 4mm spacer. I think I'll put the screw through the spacer first. And then I can slide the bracket into place. Get the screw into the screw hole. So that's definitely started. And I'll leave that loose while I fit the screw on in the middle at the back here. There's not really enough clearance to get the ring spanner on, so I can't get the ratchet spanner on. So I'm having to do it little by little. And there isn't room for a T-handle Allen key, T-handled hex driver, so I'm having to do it with the traditional Allen key. That doesn't seem to want to fit in at the moment. There we go. A lot of clearance. It shouldn't touch the tyre, but it's on the swinging arm, so it won't go up and down with the tyre, with the rear wheel. But there's only a few millimetres clearance there. But there it is fitted.